Yo, what if I told you that right there on Joe Rogan's MIC, a guy named Mikey McCoy just dropped the single most radioactive sentence of 2026?
She was deep cover. Pause. Let that sink in.
We're talking Erika Kirk, yes, Charlie Kirk's wife, allegedly tied so deep into the Epstein web that insiders are calling it the final nail in the coffin. Sources close to the circle are whispering she wasn't just around the scene, she was allegedly operating on another level. Rogan's reaction? Priceless. The internet? Already exploding. Is this the moment the whole Turning Point fairy tale comes crashing down? Or is it the wildest nothing burger since the last Epstein list? Buckle up, truth seekers, because according to the clips blowing up right now, Mikey McCoy didn't just spill tea, he poured the whole damn ocean. Alright, truth seekers, buckle up because we are diving headfirst into the kind of scandal that makes your average political drama look like a Saturday morning cartoon. If the viral clips making the rounds right now are any indication, Mikey McCoy just sat down in what everyone is calling a Joe Rogan-style conversation and dropped 4 words that hit harder than a plot twist in a Hollywood thriller. She was deep cover. And the she everyone is whispering about? Erika Kirk, the woman married to Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, the guy who has spent years building an empire on traditional values, campus activism, and calling out what he sees as elite hypocrisy. Now, before anyone loses their minds in the comments, let's be crystal clear from the jump. This is all based on circulating clips, anonymous sources, and online sleuths piecing together timelines that may or may not hold up. No official episode has dropped with a verified timestamp, and nobody from the Rogan team or the Kirk camp has confirmed a single thing. But that hasn't stopped the internet from treating Mikey's alleged statement like it's the new Zapruder film. The phrase deep cover is already trending with fire emojis and skull memes, and people are connecting dots faster than you can refresh your feed. Who exactly is Mikey McCoy in this story? According to the chatter from people claiming to be in the know, he's painted as a former insider, someone who allegedly moved in circles where politics, money, and influence overlap in ways most of us only see in documentaries. Not a random YouTuber chasing clout, but someone who supposedly had access to the kind of rooms where names get dropped and deals get made. His tone in the clips isn't wild-eyed conspiracy guy. It's calm, almost matter-of-fact, like he's just sharing something he's carried for a while. That's what makes it land so heavy. When a guy like that allegedly says she was deep cover, ears perk up across the political spectrum. And Erika Kirk? For years she has been the picture-perfect conservative wife in the background. Elegant, low-key, supportive of her husband's mission, raising a family while Turning Point USA grew into a multi-million-dollar machine. Charlie is the firebrand on stage, the one getting millions of views railing against big tech, big government, and cultural decline. Erika has stayed out of the spotlight, letting the work speak for itself. Or at least that was the narrative. Now sources circulating online are suggesting there might have been another layer entirely, one that allegedly involved connections to some of the most talked about networks in recent history. Let's rewind just enough to see why this feels like it didn't come from thin air. Turning Point has faced its share of public scrutiny over the years. Questions about donor transparency, reports of lavish events, internal shakeups, and the usual political mudslinging that comes with being a major player in the conservative space. Charlie Kirk has taken heat for everything from aggressive recruiting tactics to high-profile feuds, yet he always seems to emerge stronger. Erika, however, remained the calm constant, the one whose name rarely made headlines. Until now. The rumors that have been simmering in private chats and fringe forums are suddenly front and center because of this alleged Rogan clip. People are pointing to old travel stories, exclusive gatherings, and names that keep popping up in the same conversations as some of the most controversial figures of the last 2 decades. Nothing proven, nothing filed in any courtroom, but the timeline whispers are loud enough that even casual scrollers are pausing. Deep cover implies strategy, not coincidence. It implies someone operating with purpose behind the scenes, and in today's climate of endless document drops and elite accountability calls, that phrase lands like a grenade. Sarcasm mode fully activated for a second, because of course the wife of one of the loudest voices against the establishment would allegedly be the one with the secret access pass, right? Nothing says family values advocate like whispers of operating in circles that make even seasoned podcasters raise an eyebrow. But hey, that's the internet for you, turning every unverified clip into a national soap opera overnight. The public is already split down the middle and loving every chaotic second. Supporters are flooding comment sections with "Smay job," "deep state hit piece," and "they only attack when you're effective." Critics are memeing it into oblivion, comparing the situation to everything from Succession plotlines to classic spy thrillers. One viral tweet joked, When your trad wife has more frequent flyer miles than the entire airline, and it racked up hundreds of thousands of likes before breakfast. Even neutral observers are admitting the story has that perfect mix of intrigue and plausibility that keeps people clicking. What makes this particular claim feel different is the way Mikey allegedly tied it to broader patterns everyone has been watching for years. The kind of patterns that involve private flights, closed-door meetings, and names that still surface in headline after headline. Again, all alleged, all based on the clips and sources floating around, but the way he delivered it supposedly left the host doing that classic wide-eyed Rogan lean-in, the one that says, "Wait, run that back." This isn't just tabloid fodder. It taps straight into the bigger conversation about trust, authenticity, and whether the people we look to for moral leadership are always what they seem on camera. Turning Point built its brand on protecting the next generation from elite influence, so when stories like this surface, even wrapped in allegedly and according to sources, the cognitive dissonance hits hard. Fans feel betrayed, critics feel validated, and everyone else is just grabbing popcorn. Mikey's final nail in the coffin line isn't just dramatic flair, it's the kind of wording that suggests there's layers upon layers still to peel back. And right now, the internet is peeling as fast as it can. Whether this turns out to be the biggest political earthquake of the year or the most elaborate nothing burger remains to be seen, but one thing is undeniable. The conversation has officially started, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because once you move past the initial shock of who and what, you start looking at the actual details people are claiming are hidden in plain sight. Because once you move past the initial shock of who and what, you start looking at the actual details people are claiming are hidden in plain sight. And folks, the online detectives have been working overtime, stitching together screenshots, old event photos, flight logs that allegedly surfaced years ago, and guest lists from gatherings that nobody wants to talk about anymore. According to the circulating breakdowns, again, all sourced from anonymous posters, archived threads, and those someone who knows someone DMs, the timeline supposedly starts way before Erika ever became a public-facing figure in the conservative movement. Whispers suggest connections that allegedly trace back to elite social scenes in the late 2000s and early 2010s, the exact era when certain high-profile names were throwing parties that later became infamous. Not saying she was on any island, not saying she flew on any particular plane, but the rumor mills are insisting that her name allegedly popped up in the same orbit as people who definitely did. One of the most repeated claims making the rounds is that Mikey McCoy allegedly referenced multiple confirmed overlaps in social calendars and donor networks. He supposedly didn't name-drop specifics on the recording, smart move if you're trying to stay out of lawsuits, but the implication was clear enough that listeners filled in the blanks themselves.
And fill they did.
Within hours of the clip leaking, people were cross-referencing old charity galas, art world fundraisers, and even some tech bro retreats where politics, finance, and influence allegedly collided in very private ways. Sarcasm alert, because nothing screams normal conservative family life like allegedly being on a first-name basis with people who later had their phones seized by federal investigators. But let's keep it real. This is the part where the story gets juicy without crossing into outright defamation territory. The alleged deep cover angle isn't just about showing up at events. It's about the suggestion that someone could operate in those worlds while simultaneously building a brand that publicly rails against them.
That contrast is what has people losing sleep.
Public reaction has been pure chaos, and it's beautiful in that internet way. On one side you've got the diehard Turning Point supporters screaming coordinated hit job, paid opposition research, and they are terrified of Charlie's influence so they go after the wife. Their comments are flooded with American flags, praying hands, and links to Charlie's latest campus speech where he's still crushing it. They are framing this as the ultimate badge of honor. If the machine is this desperate to smear you, you must be doing something right. Flip the screen and the other camp is in full meme overdrive. TikToks are already remixing the alleged Rogan clip with dramatic music, slow zooms on old photos, and text overlays like when your trad wife has more black book entries than your donor list. One creator even did a side-by-side of Erika at a Tpusa Gala versus Grainy event shots from years earlier, captioning it same energy, different zip code.
Views in the millions.
Twitter, X, is a war zone of quote tweets, with blue-check conservatives dunking, red hat accounts defending, and everyone else just screenshotting the drama for group chats. Then you've got the neutral investigators, the ones who pretend they are above the fray but spend 12 hours a day deep in Wayback Machine archives. They are the ones posting threads like, thread, 17 points of overlap that are too coincidental to ignore. 1/17, 2009 Miami Art Fair guest list screenshot. Notice who else RSVP'd yes. They drop receipts, or what they claim are receipts, tag big accounts, and watch the likes roll in. Whether those connections actually mean anything is beside the point. The optics are devastating if you're trying to sell a clean, values-driven image. And let's talk about the lavish lifestyle angle that keeps getting looped in. Turning Point has always been unapologetic about scale. Big events, big stages, big budgets, but critics have long questioned where every dollar goes. Now the rumor crowd is tying that to alleged consulting fees, strategic introductions, and network maintenance that supposedly required someone with serious access.
Again, allegedly.
No hard documents have surfaced in this latest wave, but the narrative is that Erika wasn't just arm candy at fancy dinners. She was allegedly the one making the introductions that opened doors money alone couldn't buy. Mikey's delivery in the clip supposedly seals it. He doesn't yell, doesn't rant. He just states it like it's old news in certain rooms. That quiet confidence is what's freaking people out more than any screaming accusation ever could. Rogan's famous for letting guests talk, and according to the snippets, he didn't interrupt much here either. Just the occasional whoa, hold up or you're saying, that makes you lean closer to the screen. It's that authenticity vibe that turns a rumor into something that feels dangerously close to plausible.
The fallout is already rippling.
Some smaller conservative influencers have quietly unfollowed or soft-muted Fuser accounts. Others are posting cryptic praying for clarity messages that read like damage control. On the flip side, Charlie's core audience is rallying harder than ever, turning every attack into fuel. One viral post read, "They tried to cancel him with cancel culture, failed. Now they are trying the wife? Pathetic. Keep swinging, we're still standing." Thousands of retweets in minutes.
But the real tension is building around what happens next. Will there be a public response?
A lawsuit threat? A surprise appearance on another podcast to clear the air? Or will the whole thing just fade like every other viral scandal when the next shiny object drops? Right now the smart money is on radio silence from the Kirk camp, because engaging directly would only pour gasoline on the fire.
Yet staying silent lets the narrative run wild. And run wild it has.
Anonymous sources are allegedly coming forward in private Discords and Telegram groups, claiming they saw things at events, heard conversations, or knew the real reason for certain trips. None of it is on the record, none of it is verifiable yet, but in the age of crowdsourced journalism, that's enough to keep the story alive for weeks. This is the moment where the average viewer starts asking the uncomfortable questions. How much do we really know about the people we follow?
How deep do the networks really go?
And if someone can allegedly operate deep cover for years without anyone noticing, what else might be hiding in plain sight? Hold that thought, because the consequences part is where things get really spicy. And right now the entire ecosystem is holding its breath waiting for the next shoe to drop. If these circulating clips keep gaining traction, and let's be honest, they are spreading like wildfire, the fallout could reshape reputations, donor relationships, and even the broader conservative influencer landscape for months, if not years. First off, the legal angle everyone is obsessed with. According to the rumor mills, and yes, still all alleged, still sourced from people familiar with the matter who refuse to go on record, lawyers are supposedly already circling. Not just for defamation suits, because let's face it, deep cover is vague enough to be slippery, but for potential privacy invasions, doxing attempts, and even coordinated harassment campaigns that some are claiming are being fueled by these viral breakdowns. One anonymous X thread went viral claiming a cease and desist was drafted overnight, but nothing has been filed publicly yet. If it does happen, expect the headlines to read "Turning Point sues over Rogan-linked rumor," and watch the Streisand effect kick into overdrive.
Then there's the internal side.
Turning Point USA isn't a mom-and-pop shop. It's a multi-million-dollar operation with staff, board members, major donors, and campus chapters across the country. Insiders, alleged insiders, of course, are whispering that emergency Zoom calls started the moment the clip hit critical mass. Questions supposedly being asked behind closed doors. How do we respond without amplifying?
Do we ignore and hope it dies? Or do we go full scorched earth and call it a deep state psyop?
Some smaller donors are reportedly pausing checks just to see how this plays out, while the big fish, those 7- and 8-figure types, are said to be waiting for clarity before writing the next check. Money talks, and uncertainty is the loudest silence in politics.
Public backlash is already measurable.
Engagement on TPUSA's official channels spiked 300% in the first 48 hours according to social analytics floating around, but the sentiment split is brutal. Half rallying cries, half savage memes. Campus recruiters are allegedly fielding awkward questions from students. Is this true? Should we still table? And that's the kind of grassroots erosion that hurts long term. One viral video showed a college kid holding up a sign at a diffuser event, deep cover or deep fake. The crowd laughed, but the optics stung.
And Charlie himself?
The man who built his brand on never backing down is in a tough spot. Every past clip of him railing against elite corruption, secret societies, and the swamp now gets remixed with side-by-side shots of the alleged Rogan moment. The irony is chef's kiss levels of savage. Supporters argue it's proof he's a bigger threat than ever. They only hit this hard when you're winning, while detractors are gleefully posting the student becomes the master of hypocrisy. Neither side is blinking. Hypothetical worst-case scenarios being thrown around in comment sections include major sponsors quietly pulling back, think corporate partners who hate controversy. High-profile guests canceling appearances at upcoming summits. A slow bleed of younger audience members who grew up idolizing the clean values branding and now feel disillusioned. Or, in the absolute nuclear option floated by doomers, an IRS probe or FEC scrutiny if anyone can tie alleged consulting money to unreported income streams. Again, pure speculation, zero evidence surfaced, but the internet loves a good what if. On the flip side, the redemption arc potential is massive. If this blows over with zero substantiation, or better yet, if Mikey McCoy walks it back, issues a clarification, or the whole thing gets debunked as an edited deepfake, the Kirk brand could emerge stronger. Nothing bonds a movement like surviving an assassination attempt on its image. Charlie could turn it into rally cry material. They tried everything, now they are inventing wives and spy novels. We're still here. But until that clarification drops, if it ever does, the tension is deliciously unbearable. Every new X post from the Kirk camp gets dissected for subtext.
A simple heart emoji on a family photo?
Damage control. A generic motivational quote? His deflecting. Radio silence? Guilty as charged.
There's no winning when the narrative is this hot.
And that's the real genius, or tragedy, of the modern internet scandal machine.
You don't need courtroom-proof evidence anymore.
You just need enough smoke, enough plausible dots, and enough viral momentum to make people question everything they thought they knew. Mikey McCoy's 4 words didn't need to come with a 500-page dossier. They just needed to be said in the right tone, on the right platform, at the right moment. So here we are, truth seekers, staring down the barrel of what might be the most entertaining conservative soap opera of the decade. Is Erika Kirk the ultimate deep-cover operator who allegedly played both sides masterfully? Or is this the most over-the-top hit piece since they tried to cancel pineapple on pizza? Only time, and maybe a follow-up podcast, will tell. But one thing is for damn sure, the conversation isn't dying anytime soon. People are refreshing feeds, joining Discords, subscribing to every sleuth channel that promises the full timeline tomorrow. Engagement is through the roof, and whether you love it or hate it, that's the new metric that matters. Final thought before we wrap this roller coaster. In a world where trust is already paper thin, stories like this don't just entertain, they erode. They make you wonder who's really pulling strings behind every smiling face on stage. And once that doubt creeps in, it's damn hard to shake.
So tell me in the comments, what do you think is really going on here? Is this the smoking gun that finally exposes the hypocrisy?
Or just another day in the clown world of online drama? Drop your hottest take below, smash that like if you're still reeling from the deep cover line, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss part 2 if Mikey drops more bombshells, and share this with that one friend who still thinks politics is boring. Because if nothing else, at least it's never boring anymore.
Peace out, stay skeptical, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.
And there you have it, fam, the full, unfiltered, mind-melting breakdown of what might just be the wildest deep-cover bombshell to hit the conservative sphere in years. Mikey McCoy allegedly sat down, looked straight into the void, or Joe Rogan's studio, and dropped 4 words that have the internet on fire. She was deep cover. Whether this turns out to be the ultimate red pill moment, a masterclass in edited clickbait, or something stuck somewhere in the messy middle, one thing is crystal clear. The conversation is alive, it's electric, and it's not going anywhere.
So here's where you come in, truth seekers. What's your take? Is this the final nail that exposes layers we've all suspected for years? Or is it peak 2026 clown world nonsense designed to divide and distract? Drop your hottest, most unfiltered opinion in the comments right now. Don't hold back. Are you team Smearjob waving the American flag, team receipts incoming with the popcorn emoji, or team I need to see the full unedited clip before I decide? Spill it. The wilder the take, the better. If this roller coaster had you glued to the screen, smash that like button so the algorithm knows we're cooking with fire. Hit subscribe and ring the bell, because if Mikey, or anyone else, drops part 2,
more timelines, more anonymous sources, or heaven forbid an actual response from the Kirk camp, you're gonna want to be first in line.